My guest today is Fabian Zentel. He is a German Web3 and NFT insider and podcast host. In this episode, we talk about how we perceive the German Web3 landscape, what the current sentiment is, and how we're looking at 2023. Also, we share our conference game plan for the coming year. Let's get to it. Hello and herzlich willkommen to the Bernhard Neumann podcast. Here you get insights, assessments, and knowledge around the topics of Web3, NFTs, and crypto. I'm your host, Bernhard, a Web3 and NFT strategist. I help brands to enter Web3 successfully. My guest today is Fabian Zentel. He is a Web3 and NFT insider, podcast host, and one of the nicest people you can meet anywhere. He's very close to the German Web3 community, I think, and also very connected around the world through projects and all of that. And so I'm really looking forward to this conversation. It's a long time in the making, I feel like. And so welcome, Fabian.
Thanks, Bernhard. Thank you for the nice introduction. And I'm stoked to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Much appreciated. I think we have a bunch of interesting topics to jump into. But before that, could you introduce yourself to the audience real quick? Who are you and what do you do, Fabian?
Sure. So you basically said it all. I'm a podcaster. I live in Germany. I'm from Germany, and I started the NFT and Web3 Insider podcast a year ago. And on this journey, I kind of transformated or had a transformation also of my professional career into like Web3 full-time podcasting, consulting projects, helping projects to enter Web3, and also advising them on their Web3 strategy. And I'm kind of almost full-time now, produce content and help businesses and projects to enter Web3, since this journey was so inspiring, and I see a lot of potential there, as I think you do too.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Yeah, so we first met in New York. I can still remember, like just browsing around, like I think some floor where some stances were, and um, you were so humble. Like you have in the background. I think there's your ape. So you're very deep into the NFT space, also as an investor holder. And everything, and so we talked, and you said, "Oh yeah, I also have one," and it was very striking that you were really humble in that way. So that was very pleasant. And yeah, what a journey! I feel like in Germany, you're one of the people that's really known in the space for creating content, for having the podcast, and so as you already touched on it, I would be interested how has your podcast influenced your Web3 journey? What was that like? I read it's about a year ago when you started your podcast. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It's been a ride, I would say. So basically, I started the podcast as a kind of experiment, and also just for fun as a hobby, but also to like learn more more intensely about Web3 and NFTs. So I started. I'm an investor in crypto for a few years now, and I followed the crypto space and the blockchain space quite a bit. And then NFTs came around, and for the like, let's say the first wave with I think it was end of 2020. I kind of dismissed them as collectibles only, and since I've never finished like a Panini sticker album or something like that, I was like, okay, this is probably nothing for me. It sounds interesting, but it's not my type of game. But on the in the second wave, in the early 2021, I was like, okay, there's more to it, and I began exploring, like fell in the rabbit hole and dug deeper, and I was like, okay, there's the community aspect and there's like a whole new culture developing and things like that. And then I started investing as well, And yeah, I think it's probably for most people that are into the space, or that were in the space back then, it was like, okay, it takes a lot of time, and you can like spend all the nights with just in on Discord and Twitter spaces and stuff like that. And I was really spending a lot of time there. And then I began to think about, okay, maybe there's more to it, obviously. So from a potential perspective, how the Web3 develops, how this can change how communities work, how businesses interact with their customers, how like the web works. And then I was like, okay, I want to be part of that journey, but not only as a consumer, where I like spend all my time there and invest and like kind of gamble a bit. But I want to understand the systems behind it. I want to build a network there. I want to like learn more about it. And the best way to learn is if you have to teach things yourself. So that's what I was thinking about podcasting for a long time. So I have a background that was always kind of in between marketing and product and tech. And also I run a company with my wife together where we help people to write books. And so we have a podcast there as well. So I always wanted to have a podcast by myself, and then I said, okay, maybe this is probably the best thing to do right now. So by podcasting, I can, or by generally like content producing, I have to learn the things myself to teach them others, and I wanted to take others on this journey, and that's why I started the podcast. So over the over the last year, it became kind of my profession then, because it was so interesting. So the people you met, and also I don't know, probably have the same experience. If you introduce yourself as a content producer or as a podcaster, sometimes the whole conversations on events like New York or something like this, they turn in a different direction than just like if you talk to people without mentioning it. And so I got a lot of interesting guests, and I learned a lot, and it's so much fun to talk to people and
Mm.
to have these conversations. And the feedback was quite good as well from listeners that said, oh, this is really helpful, now I kind of get it, or it's good to have some kind of use cases where that explain or that show what Web3 actually is, or what NFTs actually are. And so yeah, it became my profession, and I went to all the events and the congresses, and was traveling quite a bit. um, and yeah,
Yeah,
it
cool.
was kind of a process to be in that spot that I'm right now, where I kind of identify myself as a podcaster and content producer first. So that was the journey.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you for the insights. I can relate in many ways for sure. Um, so since you mentioned it like this, there's two things I would like to. I mean, there's probably more, but you mentioned that you and your wife you publish books, and obviously now I think you already had a guest on your podcast about NFT books and everything. I would just be interested. This is kind of off topic. We didn't mention this in the intro, but how do you think about NFTs and books? Is yeah, what's going
Yeah,
on there for you?
it makes a lot of sense to combine both of it, I think. So for authors and writers, there's a lot of potential to experiment with the technology and have like take the readers on a journey and build interactive content, build content probably that is um, let's say, when it is token gated, that only a few readers or only a few fans can access. So it's, you have this whole community building part. Also, like you can leverage your community, and for the community and for the readers, it can be much more exciting because you have background information, you have maybe access um, to side stories, or you can probably influence the story. So you always you can interact with the writer and the reader, or can co-create. And there's there's so much potential there. I think it's still early, like almost everywhere. So I think there will be, and um, I mean there are the first publishers that try to do it, but there will be like blueprints evolving, I think. So I mean you can publish a book as NFT, which is probably the simplest thing to do, and then it it is on the blockchain and it can be traded, and you can own it like this, and this is pretty easy. But you can also co-create books, right? And
Hmm.
you can kind of build a community that writes books together, or like creates characters. And um also for what we've seen in the last years, I mean, le- not or to mention Amazon, it's Amazon is so powerful, and if you are a self-publisher, you probably cannot do without going on Amazon. And there you have like nothing. You have to play the game according
Hmm.
to the rules that Amazon sets, and you don't have any access to your readers. So you you don't get feedback except of the like the few like recommendations or the reviews or something like this. But you don't have any control, you don't have any ownership, you have to play the game. And
Yeah.
I think it I don't see a world where NFTs change that like fundamentally in a terms of, okay, this is now it's Amazon and tomorrow it's Web3 and it's black and white. So this is not the case, but I see a lot of potential there to break this kind of power structures, and to play around and to be more inclusive probably, and to have more opportunities as a writer probably.
Love it, love it, Fabian. If I have you here, because I think it's a rare case. So now we have someone that's like your wife is writing the books, I think, right? And so she's also publishing them, or you
Yeah.
guys together. And now you also have an NFT expert here on top. How do you approach this? Like what's your next steps? Is that something you look at right now? You want to do this soon, or like what is the thought process of someone that's so deep within NFTs but is also a publisher of books?
So as there are so many opportunities, the thoughts are running in like different directions. So one thought that is probably um, quite close is that we write a book together, or I write a book and publish it about like Web3 and NFTs. So I mean, this would be probably pretty close, but it's easier said than done. And it would be kind of proof of concept for also not only having a book and publishing it as NFT, but also like build more features into it and build more probably benefits and utility for the holders slash readers. Um, Also, we are thinking about like combining it for our customers more. So my wife is also coaching. We have a community there, and there, I mean, you could have the community token probably, or the membership card as NFT. This is not so close because also um, our community right now is not that tech, or that
Hmm.
I mean, they're into tech somehow, but not really deep into tech, and probably, so from my point of view, it's still too complicated, the whole Web3 thing, with like setting up wallets and transferring some crypto and buying stuff, and there are a lot of scams out there. So this has to become easier, and it will become easier, but right now it's probably too complicated to switch everything right from scratch to Web3 and NFTs. But so we are having this kind of expertise and having this kind of scenarios in mind. We are kind of actively looking for projects that make sense as also like kind of proof of concepts, or where we can say, okay, this for this certain type of books, or for this book you want to write, it makes sense to like have
Hmm.
a kind of hybrid model where you publish in in a traditional sense or in a kind of self-publishing, but also kind of explore the NFT space.
Very
But
cool.
yeah, it's not so. So it's nothing, nothing concrete there,
Hmm.
and but still it's spinning in our heads.
Cool, cool. Thank you for the insight. Do you see anything happening in with NFTs and books from your side here in 2023? Is that this year, or how do you view like this on a timeline? How soon are we gonna see more book NFTs and stuff?
I think we will see some, like probably also a lot of co-creation projects, I can
Mm-hmm.
imagine, where existing communities write together and maybe also take, like Jenkins, the Valet is doing, like taking existing kind of PFP characters
Mm-hmm.
and avatars and spinning stories about them and putting them into some kind of story or graphic novels and stuff like that. So I think we will see some of them. Um, and I think we also will see some books published as NFT. I don't know if it's really a breakthrough here. If I have to make a guess, I would say probably not yet.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
uh,
interesting. Yeah, thank you. So you mentioned Jenkins the Valet, and I also like had written down. So you're a holder of a Bored Ape. That's an expensive NFT, and I just would be curious, since you're a very thoughtful person, as we can already hear. Like, how do you view like holding a Bored Ape in beginning of 2023? Like, what goes through your mind? Like, is this your identity now? Is this, wow, this is really expensive PFP? What are you thinking?
um, interesting question. So I mean the journey, I was lucky enough to be early enough to kind of get in get in Bored Ape, because I think for a lot of people, and also for me, it would have not been possible later because it was too expensive, and it's still too expensive to jump in right there. And I think so it became, it was an investment at first, or I kind of had an investment thesis for it. But for an investment, I mean, it's too emotional, which is probably true for most NFTs if you kind of see it as investments. And it became somehow part of my identity. So also I use it for the podcast, for example, and um, I mean, it's still very interesting network, very interesting community. But you also see that there was like a lot of speculation and a lot of, I mean, there is the pressure on Yuga to deliver from my point of view. So from an investment perspective, I'm pretty, I, I'm I'm still bullish, but not like um, that bullish that I was probably a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I see still a lot of potential there in what Yuga can do with the whole ecosystem and how they prove to be the first company that really build a like native Web3 or NFT brand, and now taking this brand to gaming and to like other products, and the holders are taking the brand to, I don't know, do coffees and beers and burger restaurants and stuff like that. So this is the part that excites me most about being part of this community. And from a yeah f- I sometimes struggle a bit, and you mentioned it already. So there was a time when like all this, oh, I have a this NFT or this NFT, or I have a bot ape, and it was kind of like this um I don't know, identity thing where you kind of show off what you have, and this is honestly not the thing I'm into. And this was more a thing which kind of annoyed me. So yeah, it's part of my identity. It's part of, I probably I can see a scenario where I probably use it as well for like probably building products around it or licensing it or stuff like that. And the community is, and there are a lot of builders in there as well. It's pretty nice. We also have and speaking about or taking something, taking the first steps to the German ecosystem. We also have like the Bored Ape network from like from the German speaking countries, and I think so this community is pretty valuable, and there are so many nice people and now friends, and this is what excites me about it. What
Yeah.
as in from an like investment perspective, yeah, it's I mean, sometimes I think about the price that it's right now valued, and I think, oh my god. And
Yeah,
and I mean, we are in the bull market, so
for
it
sure.
was a different game, but it was an also this was a very very interesting journey, and I was very lucky to be part of it, with all the things that happened from like serums and mutants and dogs and stuff like that.
Hmm. Totally, totally. Yeah, thank you for that. Like yeah, also part. I have a mutant ape, a smaller ape, the little brother in this case. Um, and I think what
What's
you
your take?
mentioned.
What's your take on that? So
Oh
the
boy, this
whole
this is gonna take a while. No, so I think what I would like to touch on here is what you said, and what really is one of my goals for 2023 is to use this network. Like this is like I explain to people. I come. Like I'm a golfer, right? Like I used to be a professional golfer. So my upbringing, I started playing golf when I was 8.5 or something. I just like got into it by luck, by accident. But in a golf club, it's really like the cliche a little bit, like people do business with each other, right? Like that's and because it makes sense, you know them. Oh yeah, yeah, he's good. He's good at this. Let's. I mean, that's how the world works for sure. And in a good, it just makes sense. If you know someone that knows someone that's good, you have a good lead here. And this is what I still am a little bit missing from, I think, the communities like the Board Ape Yacht Club community and others, where we have the mindset of, hey, maybe the value here lies not only in the token and the prices that go up and down, but also in the network and in working together. Like we always say, community. Yeah, it's nice to have a nice beer with you, but it's also nice to say, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what you're doing. Is there some way we can work together here? And this is kind of my goal, because I think we have this token that binds us, and on an emotional level also, because I mean, when we first met, when you meet anyone really in the space, right, it's like instant connection. Like it's just so much fun. And so I would like to take this a little further this year than just having a beer, but maybe doing something together. And so that's my one side to owning a token here in the ecosystem. The financial investment part, as I said, I think that takes a little longer, but interesting it is.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So you already mentioned it. One of the things I would like to talk about with you today is, you're very close to the Web3 space in Germany. Like people know you, you know people, and similar with me, for sure. What's your sentiment? What would you tell someone, like that's from the US? This is what I feel is going on in Germany in terms of Web3 and NFTs. What's your perception here?
That's a good point. Like I think compared to the US, we are still behind. So as almost any time or with new tech and new things, we are still behind. And I mean, there are probably reasons for that. But I feel, and my experience, especially in the last year and over all the conferences, was that we are kind of like the German speaking countries, or Germany has a pretty small Web3 community that is growing, and it's yeah, every day it's growing, and there are more people coming into it, and it gets now to a point where so where it's not that easy to have everything and everyone in mind. So in the beginning it was like just a few of us, and you everyone know kind of everyone, and now it's getting like it's getting bigger, it's growing. I think there's a lot of happening, and over the last year my experience was as well that there are a lot of builders. I mean, we have a kind of small, still I would say it's not that huge ecosystem, but it's very very differentiated, and there's like a lot of different people in there from different backgrounds doing different things. So we have builders, and we have investors, and we have people that are like having a startup, or now building startups. And we have like art is a I think art is a use case that is probably one of the things where NFTs as such will be really interesting in the next, or in this year. And there's like a lot of the whole art scene is one example where is so much happening, so many artists coming in, creators coming in. And so it's yeah, I said in the beginning always, it feels like you're on a school trip when you go to conferences and you meet each other, because you almost know everyone. And now it's getting more diverse, I would say, and it's like projects are taking also different approaches, brands entering the space. I mean, this is also what we are doing, like explaining what Web3 is and helping them and onboarding more people. And also with all the hype that is gone right now, I think
Mm-hmm.
you see people, that's at least my feeling of the sentiment. You see that people talk about what really the technology can do, and where you can use it for, and what maybe, let's say, utility is. And not only about like floor prices and aping into projects and having a new PFP and stuff like that. I mean, this
Mm.
probably with the next bull run, someone it will come again, but all this hype is out right now. So it's also the sentiment is not that hyped and not that overhyped. But now if you talk to people, at least in it's my feeling that it's much it's there is more like fundamental things you talk about and you discuss about, and you see that things are happening, and they're not happening from like one day to another, but it's let's say it's evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Totally,
know if you
totally.
you have the same.
For sure, I think you nailed it with like the Max score where the W3 fund had like a little stage for us. That was like a school trip. Like you knew basically everyone. Oh yeah, yeah, I know you from LinkedIn and you from Twitter, and it was really ridiculous because we up front as we met in the morning, right? We had a little coffee and everything. We thought this is what it's gonna be like, and it was exactly like that. So
Yeah,
yeah, so I I think my sentiment is I wish we probably like obviously in a bear market like some actors get driven out. They were just here for the hype, for the quick money. So that's cool. I still see very similar excitement, maybe the same, even more. I don't know. The people that are here now, they want to build this. They believe in it. So that's really cool. And I wish that they probably would do even more collaboration and consolidation, right? To like I see still many. I'm gonna do my little soup
yeah,
here, and I'm gonna do my little soup here, and all, the different projects as a standalone. I sometimes think this is gonna be tough, right? Because you're facing international competition and everything, and yeah, we can touch on this in a second with the US, but I would hope that like we come together even closer in Germany to yeah consolidate the talent and really bring out a couple great ones instead of 100 small ones that just have a hard time to withstand whatever is coming. Um, and so that's my sentiment. But there's more people coming, and I think what you said especially well is it gets more focused on the use case, on the specific use case. It's not just, oh, I love Web3. Yeah, Web3 is great, right? Like, yeah, also Web3 here. But okay, let's have a look at music NFTs. Let's have a look at book NFTs. And specifically, is this solving any problems here? Or are we just trying to follow a hype here? And I have to do a post on this. I had to laugh so hard. So I was downloading the Ledger Live app yesterday, and right underneath was a suggestion for another app. And I'm not sure. I think it was NFT Creator app. And what it does is it was basically copying the Bored Apes, and it claimed that you can create a collection of NFTs of 10,000 within minutes, and then just publish it. And and there was so much 2021 for me, and I had to laugh because I thought back then, did I think there was, valid or something, like there's nothing you create if you just make pictures and then sell them. Obviously, now we know there's absolutely nothing that you have created. You have created data dumps on a blockchain. But back then, maybe that looked like a good idea. I don't know. But we have evolved. I think that's this is the sentiment. So that's interesting. And so when you look at 2023, what is your wish for the German Web3 space? What would be on your list here?
I thought about the point you mentioned quite a lot. So I think I've the kind of same perspective where I wish that we have more collaboration. So and I see this in some cases, and I think it's pretty so, which is also pretty nice that like the whole space is still in this phase where we like collaborate. So it's not this elbow pushing and like only there's only one winner and everyone is racing for the spot. I think it's still collaboration. I mean, it's part of Web3 anyhow, and it's kind of between us and let's say OGs. It's one point that I see sometimes, but I think there's a lot of potential if we like bundle forces or join forces together and make something more or something greater out of it. Um, I think for the whole space, there are also different approaches that like companies or projects can take. So I think if you want to compete on an international level, so let's say, and I mean we saw this also last year with the PFP projects. I mean, there were German PFP projects, and they're probably not existing anymore. I don't know. But they tried exactly the same. They tried to copy, like, let's take 10K pictures and have some kind of animal and in funny positions with funny heads and stuff like that. And then they published it, and some of them sold out, right? But there's nothing, as you said, there's nothing behind it. And also, if you want to found a project right now, or I see some projects are taking this approach where they try to compete international. This is probably more difficult than people think. I think because you have to do it right away from the start, and you have to be on so you have to basically build an international product or community or project from the state, and then you happen to be in Germany as a headquarter or as a founding team. I don't know. I see projects or probably a lot of tech companies that work in this space Like for example, I think Ethermail is one example.
Hmm.
They are based in Berlin, but they have a product that is like international. Um, and also they try to take this road. And then I think there's a lot of potential for the market that is local, and I think we will see, or maybe I don't know if it's a wish, but I can see this year to have this project that are kind of centered on the local market. For example, if you take books, I mean, books is a good example because books are written, or German authors write books in German and for German audience. And I mean, there you don't have to go international, but you have to be aware that the market is probably it's just a fraction of the international market and stuff like that. So,
Mm.
but I think there are projects and there are businesses where it makes sense to just either start this on a for the local market, or take your local and your existing community, your existing customers, and just like step by step um, go into the like Web3 road, where you take probably parts of it and start with tokenizing or with community building and stuff like that. So but my so to answer your question, my wish would go in the direction you mentioned, that we have like this kind of collaboration. We get even probably a little bit closer, or use this community we have already um, to create something good out of it, and also to push maybe some boundaries. And I think one thing that is also pretty um, kind of special is like the German regulatory and legal framework. So I mean, it's uh, probably not it's not easier than in other countries. So I think there are countries where, or there are frameworks where you can like easily launch a product or a company that is based on some kind of NFTs and blockchain and stuff like that, or Web3 in general. And I think there are some specifics in Germany that that make it more, you have to put a lot of energy into it. And I think this is one thing where we all in that are in the space right now, and then want to like help develop the space, that we can help to push boundaries. And if you take the discussion that was like about blockchain and like crypto projects in general that I think it was December, November, in the
Mm.
Bundestag. um, so on a federal level, I think there's room for improvement, right? So I think this is probably one example where I wish, where we have some more a better framework and
Yeah.
steps in the right direction, where we create an environment that foster this, or that builds a basis for to use this technology, that I mean, that's here anyhow, and we won't stop it. And so we should like probably talk about how we can use it in a way that is inclusive and helpful, and not to try to block it and kind of have regulations that um forbid everything. So
Yeah, yeah, beautifully said. I would like to, yeah, just add, because it's very dear to my heart, what you said. So it's a matter of fact that many companies move out of Germany if they are actually using the blockchain on the technical level. Like, if you are an agency, it doesn't matter. Like, you can do your agency business here, no problem. But if you build like a product that really actually uses cryptocurrency, the blockchain, and the transfer of those assets and all that stuff, I've seen so many move out of Germany, and that's really sad. Like, if there's any regulator listening to this, like, that's the fact. That's the status quo right now. It's really hard to have a company like that, and that's that's the tech, like that is the Facebook, that is the Google that's moving out, and they accrue all the value, right? Like it's not the agencies, fine, also important, but the tech goes away out of Germany, and that's sad to see. And so it would be cool if there could be some change there. Um, and other than that, you mentioned it, like when I went to the US to NFT NYC, like what really struck me was, and I listened to a few talks. I didn't listen to many, to be honest, because the quality wasn't always there. But the Americans, they just say, we're gonna go head first here and just see what comes up with Web3. Let's pursue this 100%. Like if this is anything like Web2, like we want to be there. Like if this is anything like the Googles, the Facebooks being built, like we want to be there, and that's how they pursue it. And very contrary to Germany, right? Where I don't know, maybe. And this was exactly what got us into the situation right now, where all big tech is either in the US and one, two, maybe in China, and that's it. There's nothing out of Germany. And we have all those amazingly talented people. We have people like I really enjoy. I've studied in the States, but I enjoy how German people think, how they work, how reliable they are, really smart, creative, everything. Um, but we need the spirit of just testing something out and wanting to push it to the limits, rather than, nah, we don't know, not safe, not who knows. And um, yeah, I hope that's we can help change that. Like Web3 is that opportunity that a country like Germany was waiting for. Do we get another chance of restructuring the power of those big tech companies? Web3 could be that chance, but we will see how that goes. So enough of a rant here. But yeah, we're passionate about the space, and really love your work in it. And so we mentioned already a bunch. Conferences. I would like to close the podcast with us talking about that, because you've been to many conferences. Do you know how many it was last year?
I haven't counted. I saw you mentioned you've been to, I don't know,
I think
nine
eight or something.
or
Yeah,
eight or
eight
nine,
or nine.
and it's probably
May-
in the same area. So I haven't counted it yet, but it's same ballpark, I would say.
yeah, and those are the big ones, like in New York or Minneapolis or in France or whatever. Um, what's like yeah, maybe we take the time. How was the experience for you? And like where I want to get to is what we learned and how we're going to approach it this year. This could be interesting for the listeners thinking about, hey, I also want to go to conferences. Is it worth my time and my money? um, how was last year for you going to all those conferences?
Different than I thought, actually, or maybe in the beginning was just the kind of openness. I mean, you also had the fact that it was possible again. So the year before, I mean, like everyone wanted to meet in person again after the whole lockdown stuff and everything. And I think I was just open with no real expectation, probably what the conferences are like and what I can take out there or what I want to take out there. And I just went there. And for example, New York is, I think, the best example. So the NYT, NYC was, I mean, it was huge, right? And it was like kind of everyone was there, and every project was there, and there were like a lot of parties and side events, and this was probably also the most valuable stuff, the side events, not the conference itself. I have the same observation that you have, that probably not all the talks were on a like quality level that you say, okay, this is a conference where I go to for the talks and for the presentations, but for the people. And I was surprised for like the spirit, as you said, like this, hey, this Web3 is a thing, and we build something together, and we are here together, and we connect on a personal level. And especially and we spent a lot of time in the German. At least I spent a lot of time with all the Germans, and I think it brought us s- so close together to be there in New York and to kind of connect with each other and go back, and then we have this like this kind of base line and the basis for a lot of that came after it. So this was really some, in my experience, and I think it was June or something in summer, but it was kind of the really like the starting point for something that, or like a lot of things that developed out of it. um Also with the, I mean, there were some events in Germany as well, in Europe there. I mean, we had kind of like a lot of events, also small events, and I for my part, there are kind of two events. One is where it's everything is like big and people are coming together. Also, NFT NYC London was kind of the same, where like everything, it was used for kind of meeting people. And then you have the smaller events that either build on this network or have a kind of focus that is for a certain topic, for example, or that plans to onboard more people and like help people to understand and to grasp what Web3 is and what NFTs and how one can enter it. And so also this, I would say, in the last quarter of the year, it changed already for me, that I didn't go to all the events, which was maybe true in the beginning.
Hmm.
Just to meet people and just to connect. But I was looking like, okay, who do I meet there? What interests me in the topics, and what is the content? And like taking this to this year, I think I want to. So my goals are probably not visiting like all of them, and I think there will be even more than last year, because now, as I said, you have smaller events. You have like maybe there are some events that focus only on, let's say, for example, music NFTs or just on art. And last year it was like all one bucket. Um, so I will be more restrictive and put more thoughts into it where I go. But I will go to events where I can like foster my relationships and like meeting people that, as we both said before, that probably we can build something together, or like have some collaborations, and use events for this. Um, and what I didn't do last year, I think, not, but or not that good, is to use what was happening on the events for my content. So I've thought about doing live podcasts, or doing more content on what was happening at the events, and I just did like the um, like the musts, or the like, which was the low hanging fruits, right? But I didn't use the events for like content creation. And this is one thought that also struck me, that I mean, there's so much potential, and also for the people that cannot be there, and to just take this out and use this also to show what Web3 is, what the people are, what the topics are, what is happening, and stuff like that. So I think relationships are first in my personal agenda, and then it's kind of content creation as well. And yeah, so for the I I can name a few events I will definitely go, but
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
okay. So I definitely go to Proof of Conference, which
Hmm.
is happening, I think, the first time. So the whole Proof and Moonbirds ecosystem is one I spend a lot of time in, and want to, as you said before as well, want to leverage more. I mean, that we are now that we are part of those communities. It's the value is not having the token, and I mean, could be from an investment perspective if you want
Mm.
to, but no financial advice, obviously. But it's not, as you said it before, it's not, the value is not in the token, it's in the community, and community is always used as with a smile, and we go there for the community. But I mean, in the end, it's true. So you have a common denominator, and you have something that binds you, and you can use it. Make you can have new relationships, business opportunities, new friends, and that's what I think. What I for myself want to use more. And one example is, for example, Proof and Moonbirds, and that's why I go to this conference. Also, I think it's a little bit probably a kind of something in between Art Basel, Miami, and NFC NYC. So it should be very interesting. And then I will I'm thinking about Lisbon
Hmm.
next year, or NFT Paris is one option, but I'm not sure there. But I will probably do more events that are a little bit smaller, but that I can where I see the value really in meeting the people that I want to meet, and like using it somehow for bringing this message, and like multiplying this message into with my content that I create anyhow. um, and also I'm part of few projects as well. So for example, one is Fund the Planet, where basically rainforest is tokenized and is saved by that it cannot be sold in another way, or can be deforested and stuff like that. And this is a project where we'll spend a lot of time and energy, because the mission is so good and it makes so much sense. And so one thing is also, to which events can I go that maybe leverage is those missions, for example. So this was one example.
Cool. Very cool. I mean, I think, yeah, if I had to, or if I would like to add anything, like totally what you said, it does make such a difference to meet people in person. Like this is well overused also, but it's still true.
It's true.
It's a different bond. Now we talk differently because we've met 3, 4 times already. It's just different. So for people wanting to go to conferences, I think it's worth because of that. Like there's nothing, and same with you. Yeah, I think I could produce more content from those conferences. But what my game plan is also to do more work up front for those conferences, to book the meetings with you, with someone else, to make upfront a plan who I'm gonna meet, when, where. Um, for example, in London, it happened very naturally and was really cool. Like there was so many, okay, here, and now there's a group here. But I would like to, okay, those are the 5 people I must meet or something, because I want to use them for my network, or to start something with them, or just to pick their brains. And then how can I yeah, use this event even more, like, because in the end it's what you make out of it. Like I think
Yeah,
when you first
absolutely.
go to conferences, you think the conference is supposed to provide that for you, like,
Yeah,
hey, I paid a bunch of money and now get me this experience. And having been to so many, it's very clear to me that it's up to me to get the most out of it, and to get that experience that I'm wanting to have, and give money and time to. And so we will see how
absolutely.
that goes.
Absolutely, I totally agree. So that is also something that, like as I said, it's a sort about like producing more content out of it and using it more. But on the other hand, I really enjoyed like just going with the flow and talking to people and meet people. And I mean, I don't have to produce the podcast on the event, right? Because everyone has like a full booked calendar, and but at least having the introduction, or just having a talk or a coffee. And I think also what I would probably, for people that are new in the space and that want to go to events for like the first time, that would also be my recommendation, just to go more with the flow. So like do like a little bit of research. Who can I meet? What is stuff that I find interesting, and go there. But then also talk to people and just like make new friends and kind of enjoy the vibes. And I think for us, since we've having had this marathon last year, it's more about like um, taking relationships maybe to another level and finding this collaboration. So I think there's so for newcomers, I would probably take the strategy we used just last year. And I think for us, it's now a maybe different perspective.
Makes total sense. I have a closing question for you that I ask every guest, and I'm borrowing this from Tim Ferriss. It's just too good of a question not to ask it. So, if you had a big billboard that many people see, millions, they drive by it, maybe the whole world sees it because it's very big. Um, what message would you put on there? What would you like to get across? Maybe with regards to Web3 or just in general, is there anything that comes to mind?
That's such a good question, and I've heard this before in your podcast, and I missed the opportunity to really put more thoughts in it. So what just comes to mind, and this is more general, I think it's it probably would say you you are the creator of your own fate and future, and maybe just in bold letters below, be kind. And I think this is what, to explain it in a few more words, maybe. What Web3 is for me, it's this kind of exciting new stuff with people that I see that bring the energy and that are kind of enthusiastic about something. And as I said before already, this collaboration spirit. So you're open to everything that comes. You're open for change, and don't see change as something bad and that uh, t- that you try to avoid, but you see the opportunities. And I think if we all go to our lives and with a little bit of that spirit, that we can like create that we can co-create the future, and that we are not a victim to it, and also that we can do it in a way that is kind, and that is like kind of taking people for what they are, and not going against them. I think that would be a future that I want to live in. So yeah, that's my billboard.
Beautiful message. This question is good. It brings out so many nice things out of people. Really appreciate those nice words. Where can people find you, Fabian, online? What's the best place?
So probably LinkedIn is so I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, or my podcasts on all the podcasting platforms. But if you want to go, come in contact, and I'm open for chats and virtual coffees, and also feedback, of course. Then probably just LinkedIn, Fabian Zentel. Maybe we can put the link in the show notes. And yeah, as I said, the podcast is NFT Web3 Insider Podcast. It's on all platforms, so you find
Perfect.
it.
Pleasure of having you. Thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see you soon, anyways.
Same.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.